introduce the President of the HSNC Board, Mr. Anil Harish. Thank you, sir, for taking out time from your schedule and joining us. Respected principals, respected Vice Chancellor, Madam, principals of all constituent colleges, vice principals, faculty colleagues, very warm welcome to one and all. And of course, our dear students. Mr. Anil Harish is a BA Honours and LLB from University of Mumbai and LLM from University of Miami. He's an advocate by profession and a partner of the iconic law firm, GM Harish and Company, which was founded by his legendary father, late Mr. GM Harish. Mr. Anil Harish's practice includes diverse areas of law, that is property, exchange control, foreign investments, trust, wills, Indian and international taxation. He has been the office bearer of some prominent law institutes, and as a specialist in the field of real estate, he is on the advisory board of the magazine Property Scope and of the Accommodation Times Institute of Real Estate Management. He has been ranked by the prestigious Legal Directory of Chambers and Partners as a leading tax lawyer, having a solid clientele of both domestic and overseas organizations. Mr. Anil Harish has authored several articles which have been published in leading newspapers and magazines like the Times of India, Hindustan Times, and several other professional journals. Mr. Anil Harish is a director on several prestigious public limited companies, including Global Solutions Limited, Hinduja Ventures Limited, Future Enterprise Limited, Oberoi Reality, and Blue Star Limited. Mr. Anil Harish is a very soft-spoken and down-to-earth personality who will surely take our boards and institutions to greater heights with his unique leadership style. Besides being the president and trustee of the HSNC board, Mr. Anil Harish is trustee of several other educational and charitable institutions and trusts, namely the DM Harish Foundation, the Induction Foundation, Rajni Patel Memorial Foundations, and many more. Last but not the least, he is the most sought-after speaker in India and abroad and has delivered speeches at prestigious events at Brussels, London, Dubai, Muscat, Jakarta, to name a few. And he's a very, very regular speaker of the annual union budget of the Government of India. Sir, it's an honor and privilege to introduce you and a very warm welcome to this virtual induction ceremony. We are all looking forward to your speech, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor Dr. Hemlata Bagla, Dean and Principal Dr. Pooja Ramchandani, Principal and Registrar Dr. Balani, Dr. Naveen Punjabi, professors, and my young friends. Congratulations on starting your degree courses at HSNC University. All of you are brilliant students. We see the marks you have obtained to get into these super colleges, HR College, KC College, and BTTC. You have all worked so hard, and your parents and family, your teachers in junior college and in school are proud of you, and you must be proud of yourselves. We too are extremely happy to have you here with us. This is a new stage of life with many new subjects, new activities and experiences, new friends, and a large number of people with whom you will be interacting. Let me tell you then something about ourselves, about our board, the HSNC board, and the HSNC University. The HSNC board started in 1949 by Principal Kunnani, who came across from Sindh, which was on the other side of the border after partition, and he decided to set up institutions, a college in Bombay. Along with Barrister Hochand Advani, they set up the HSNC board, and the first college of our board was the National College at Bandra. In those days, Bandra was a swampy area. It was very difficult to reach there, and it was not developed at all. But then he developed the National College, which has become a very central point, and it's right on Linking Road, one of the most prestigious addresses in Mumbai. Since then, the board did not look back. It just went on expanding. We have now colleges in the arts, science, and commerce fields, law, pharmacy, engineering, management. It is really a stream of successes that the board has had. And these colleges are in different campuses. We have a Bombay Teachers Training College at Colaba, HR College and KC College at Churchgate. There are engineering colleges at Bandra and in Ulhasnagar, and there are the schools also that we have. So you are part of a very large board. Now, many of the colleges of our board did extremely well. And there is, but just as students have to undergo exams and tests, so colleges also have to undergo a process of accreditation. There is the National Assessment and Accreditation Council, the NAC. And the NAC results are given every few years. They go through this appraisal. Three of our colleges, HR College, KC College, and Bombay Teachers Training College, got excellent marks. Just a few years ago, the government announced the concept of a cluster university and said that if there are any three colleges of a group which have got very good marks and reports in the NAC, then they will be allowed to set up a new university altogether. Now that, when we heard about that, that appealed to us a great deal. Principal Dinesh Panjwani was principal of National College, was then the secretary of the Hsnc board. And he brought it to my attention. And I said, yes, we must just go ahead and do it. So he worked tirelessly. And of course, everyone contributed, all the trustees, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, Mr. Kishu Mansakhani, Dr. Bagla, and many others. And then we got the permission as one of very few cluster universities in India. And the three initial colleges of our university are HR College, KC College, and Bombay Teachers Training College. Now, what was the purpose of starting such a university? Our colleges have always been very good. We have been associated with Bombay University. The degrees were granted by Bombay University. But we felt the need to do something more. We value our connections with Bombay University. Many of our colleges are still part of that great university, which is more than 150 years old, about 170 years old. And yet we felt that a smaller size would give us a greater freedom to innovate and to go into new subjects, which a large university like Mumbai University cannot so easily do. So therefore, we decided to start our own university, Hsnc Cluster University. And we have done that. Not only that, we have already started new schools in the Hsnc University. The Niranjan Hiranandani School of Real Estate, the D.M. Harish School of Law. We are starting the Chelaram School of Yoga, and there will be a School of Performing Arts. So you can see that in just a few years, in about 3 years, we already have numerous other institutions. And we will then have the facility to be able to set our own syllabus and to be able to have our own standards. We will always benchmark ourselves against Bombay University and other universities, but we want to excel. We want to do something even better than that. So, my friends, you are now part of Hsnc University, and we have a great future to look ahead to. You have taken important decisions at this stage to decide on some of the streams where you want to get into, whether it's arts or science or commerce. At this stage, some of you would even have gone into law, because that can be done after the 12th standard. And now these new years are going to be like a magical mystery tour. There will be so many experiences that you will have that I'm sure that you will enjoy them. You will feel that you're discovering something new every day. As the Beatles would have called it, it will truly be a magical mystery tour. You are very fortunate that the principals of all the colleges and the teachers are so excellent, so dedicated, so accessible. This is the difference between what we have now and education when it was, as it was when, for instance, I was in college. Then the teachers and the principals were much more aloof. They did not participate in all the activities or did not interact with many of the students, maybe with just a few of them. But now it's completely different. You will see in HR College and in KC College, and also to a substantial extent in BTTC, but that is a smaller college, you will see that there are so many different programs which will allow you to bring out your talents in many different ways, whether it will be in the fields of drama or music or cultural activities or in speaking or in writing or in social service activities. All of these are extremely important, and you will learn from them and you must participate in them. This is the time to be able to do whatever your heart desires. We have interns in my office, and I tell them that yes, you come here, even if you've learned a lot here and been happy here, you must go and intern at other places also, because this is a time of your life that you must learn. So in the same way, for you who are in college now, this is a time when you can experience many different things. Whatever your interests may be, you will you will find a club to join, an association to join, or if you find that there isn't anything which caters to your needs or your desires, then maybe you can start your own college, your own association in the college. You can start your own clubs, get a group of friends together, do what you can, fulfill yourselves in any of many different ways. But first of all, of course, even in order to be able to participate in these co-curricular and extracurricular activities, you have to be very good at your academics. That is the reason why you join college, and you must attend. Now, in these days of video, it is very easy to think that, oh, I'll sit at home and I'll participate, I'll just listen on Zoom and so on. But that's not it. That's not really the flavor of a college. You have to be here. You have to be in the college. You have to be in the class. And the teachers prepare a lot for every lecture. So if they have to speak for 1 hour, they have to prepare many hours and, of course, for many years in order to be able to give you concentrated knowledge in that one lecture. Mark Twain said, if I have to speak for a long period of time, I need a very short time to prepare. But if I have to speak for a short period of time, I need to prepare much greater. So when a teacher comes to you and is going to teach for 45 or 50 or 60 minutes, then in order to pack in a lot into that, they've had to have years of experience and really be able to do. And they have to have had years of experience and have thought a great deal about the subject, to know the subject very well in order to be able to reach out to you. Now, you and your teachers have to work together to get the best out of your classes. A teacher's job is to teach. Yours is to learn. I remember when I was in college, we had a professor for constitutional law, Professor Kamath, at Government Law College. And he was very good. He was very knowledgeable, but he also had very strong opinions on certain subjects. Those were the days just before the emergency. And we could see the way in which the government was going, when there was going to be a lot of pressure from government and people were being forced to toe the line of the government. But we could all see that coming. But he had very strong opinions. So I would go to class for 1 or 2 lectures, and then I'd get upset at what he was saying. So I would not attend the next lecture. But then again, I would feel like learning again from him. So go back to his class, and we used to have discussions in class also. And I knew him outside college also. So I met him on a few occasions there. And therefore, one had to learn. There has to be, the teacher has to teach, the learner has to learn. And therefore, let that combination be very good. I had said in an earlier induction program also about Mr. M.F. Hussain and how he was a client and friend of ours. And he would sometimes come to my office and take the pad on which I would make notes. And then he would use his wonderful colored pens and crayons and whatever he had with himself. He walked around barefoot, and he always carried paper and paints with himself and brushes. He would take my sheet of paper and he would start drawing something on it. And it was amazing how a blank sheet of paper could get transformed into something so different that in just 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you saw that there was a horse on it or some other things that he had drawn, and it was beautiful. So in the same way, your teachers and you have to get together, and this is a responsibility on all the teachers who are here today as well, and on the students, to be able to get the best out of your classes. It is only sometimes when there is a clash that there's fire. You know, in the old days, you used to make fire by rubbing stones together or by rubbing sticks together. It is with those sparks that come out from your interactions that your classes will be better, your learning will be greater. But it is not just that. You need to have many more experiences in college. We have been very fortunate that our colleges have been able to get very dedicated very outstanding individuals, such as Dr. Abdul Kalam, who has spoken at our colleges. He was the President of India. Mr. Pranab Mukherjee came while he was President of India, and once after that. Mr. Amitabh Bachchan has come, Mr. Shashi Tharoor, and just recently, last week, Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, Nobel Peace Prize winner, spoke at Hsnc University. And that was something amazing. This is what you will be able to experience in college and through college. Mr. Satyarthi said that he had received 40,000 invitations to speak after he got the Nobel Prize. Now, if he were to have spoken 250 times a year, about one speech per working day, then if we were 40,000th on the list, or 40,001st on the list, it would take 160 years for us to get to hear him. But we were lucky that we got a chance to hear him just last week, and we learned so much from him. That is also an important part of life. And I would like you to go through to hear the lecture that he gave on YouTube. It's on YouTube under Hsnc University and Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, and also see his earlier TED talk on YouTube. Because in that he talked about his experiences which led to the Nobel Prize, his experiences and his thoughts which led to the Nobel Prize. Right from the time that he was a young student, he was moved by others, by children who did not have the opportunity to study. And he then, as time went on, he worked more and more of this. He dedicated his life to this. He became an electrical engineer, but left his profession and set up trusts, charitable trusts, in order to help children who were underprivileged. And this he did in a wonderful way. His trusts have rescued more than 87,000 students from lives of just hard work from the age of 6 onwards, and he has given them an opportunity for an education. So do please see this. But one of the things that he said was that everyone has to dream, to discover, and to do. And the last part is very important, that you have to do whatever you actually feel like, whatever you think your passion is, whatever you think your talents are, because it's not only passion. A person may have a passion to be, for instance, a great dancer, but may not have that facility, or may want to be a great footballer, but may not have the talent for football. And yet he could be good at something else. But more than anything else, I want you to fulfill your own potential. You have to live a full life. You have to participate. You have to do well in academics. All of you are extremely good at academics. You have to continue to do that. But it is not just perfection that one wants. In fact, perfection sometimes comes in the way of a good, satisfying, and balanced life. I'm sure some of you have heard of Lance Armstrong. He was a great cycling champion. He won the Tour de France many times, and he was really acclaimed as the best in the world. And then, after he retired, after he had got all these prizes, then he talked about the days of how he had broken every law relating to drug use while he was a champion cyclist, while he was cycling and competing. So he would take so much, he would bully other people, he would get them to, he would not, of course, permit them to talk about what he was doing, but he would get them involved in this as well, into drugs. And then finally, he just himself, after a very successful career as one of the greatest cyclists that the world has ever known, he just felt so ashamed of that he confessed it all. He gave up all his medals, and he was truly humiliated by this process. But he had the courage to come out of this and to say it, even though he knew he would lose money, fame, and in fact get notoriety. Now, we do not want that kind of perfection. Everyone must work hard, everyone must live well, but we do not want that kind of perfection which is done by breaking laws and by terrorizing other people and by doing things which are just not good for your health and for that of others. You have to set your own standards, you have to live a balanced life, you have to study well, and you have to choose your own path. Everyone, you may decide that you want to be great at sports, for instance, or great in any particular field. If so, work towards that, but do that within the framework of the law, do that within the framework of the rules. And yet, you must have a balance. Just don't do everything such that you neglect your family and your friends and your studies, or if you're just concentrating on studies, that you neglect every other aspect of life. As time goes on, you will understand the need for all these things more and more. For instance, that you have to have health. I'm reminded of an Egyptian proverb, which was like this, that it said, health is like the digit 1. Everything else is like the digit 0. That you can, if you have health, you have 1. If you have health and wealth, you have 1 and 0, which is like a 10. If you have health and wealth and fame, then that's like 1, 0, 0. That's 100, and so on. Every additional feature that you have, you add on to it, and it becomes 100, becomes 1,000, and becomes 10,000, and so on. But if you don't have health, you have nothing at all. So in the same way, you have to have a balance in everything. You have to have health, you have to have activities, you have to be able to contribute to the lives of those around you, but you have to maintain your relationships with your family, with your friends, with your teachers, with your institutions. Now, during the time that you're in college, you have to work extremely hard in these ways, that you have to live a full life. There are times that you must be able to step back, but do work hard, do well in your studies, so that that gives you the satisfaction. In fact, I read something very interesting by Omar Khayyam just the other day. He said, be happy for this moment. This moment is your life. Now, this is your moment. Today, you are at the beginning of a college career, of a college degree course, which will run for 3 years. This is a very important moment. You've achieved so much. You've got to this. So today you have to be happy that you're here, part of a large group, of a special group of those who have done very well, who have reached this level to be in good colleges. So be happy for this moment. This moment is your life. And each lecture that you attend, each activity that you participate in, whether it be sports or culture, that is your life. As time goes on, you look back on it and say, yes, I remember that moment. And I remember that time of my life when I had the opportunity to learn different things, and I did take advantage of those opportunities, and that I benefited from all of those. I also had time for leisure. I also had time for friends, because all of these are the parts that make up life as a whole. I'm sure you will have wonderful years in college. You will interact with the teachers and with your friends. I hope to be able to meet all of you when your college begins and we have programs in the colleges. I will come sometimes. Please do come and talk to me. It's my pleasure always to come to college. There's always so much of a buzz, so much activity in the colleges, that is what is enervating. That gives us life and reason to do something. You are the raison d'etre of the colleges, the reason for the existence of these colleges. And I too want to interact with you as much as possible. So I wish you all the very best. I'm sure you will enjoy college, learn a lot from it, and go on to live fulfilling, balanced, and complete lives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Requesting students to put up questions in the chat box.
If there are any questions, will you read them out?
So we are waiting a few questions.
Yes.
Harish, do we have questions on YouTube?
No, ma'am.
So there is a question. They need guidance on dual degree program, and how do they go ahead with this? But I think this is a personal query which you have. So I think that can be taken care of at the university.
But one thing is that our colleges do want to begin interdisciplinary studies. Now, we were not able to do that to the same extent in Mumbai University. Now, one will have more freedom, because we do want to move to that a person who's studying arts can do a science course, or the person who's doing science can do literature or music, etc. But we are getting to that. It will take us some time, because the last 2 years of the COVID had certain restrictions and the university is still new. But we will work on that, and we hope that in a year or two, there will be these facilities to do cross courses in different disciplines, although not really a dual degree at this stage. That may come much later.
Okay. So I don't see any more questions as of
Okay.
now. Waiting for a few more questions. Manish, could you please track if we have any questions?
That's fine. Whenever there are, I'm sure your principal and
So
the teachers will answer
they
those.
have a question. Janam Seth wants to ask, starting your own clubs. So students are keen to, they look forward to join the college, they look forward to join the clubs. But if they would want to start their own club, Janam, if you could be more specific, which kind of club would you look for? So what would be the requirement? What would be the credentials to start a club?
Well, a few of you would get together, and I think it would be worthwhile to go to the principal of the college or to some of the senior teachers and say, this is what we want to do. Then you would be allowed to put up notices on the notice board, see how many others come, and then decide on the activities. And if a budget is required, then whether the college will sanction that budget depending on the nature of the club, the nature of the activities, the number of the students who join, and then discuss amongst yourselves and with the teachers to see what are the activities that will be worthwhile for the club and which will give benefit to more than just a few people.
Sir, there is a query pertaining to how does one tackle obstacles when they are in their college life? How do they take care of the different obstacles they come across?
Life and college life will always have some obstacles. It's not going to be life if there are no different situations. So one has to tackle them. Then one has to face them. It depends on the nature of the obstacle. It depends on whether it is within one's own control to be able to get over them completely, or whether one needs friends or guidance from teachers and from family members. But the point is that you have to face these things because there are always going to be difficulties. In business, there are times when the economy is in recession, when businesses do badly, as for instance happened during the pandemic. So many restaurants, so many shops had to be shut, so many people lost their jobs. They still had to tackle that. In the case of the law, I'm a lawyer, so we see that all the time. You argue a case, you prepared everything so thoroughly, and there are times when you win, but there are also times when you lose, and you feel very badly about that. It's the nature of things that when you are arguing a case, one is going to win, the other is going to lose. Or in sport, that happens. In college also, it will happen that sometimes one doesn't get the position one wants, one doesn't get the subject that one wants. You want to be able to get into a particular course, but you just cannot do that. You want to be in the cricket team, but you are not able to get through. There are these obstacles. But we have to remember what Bertrand Russell said. It is not what you do before the age of 19 that is important. It's what you do before the age of 90. So there's a long way ahead. And even if you are not able to succeed in something right now, or that you have obstacles, it doesn't mean that you stop trying. You have to pick yourself up. You have to fight against that obstacle, and you have to strengthen yourself to be able to do it. If it's a question of studies, then study harder. And yes, it will happen again. It may happen again that you don't get it. There are many people who've not been able to succeed even on the second try, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth. But it doesn't matter. That's part of life. Do the best that you can. You have to be satisfied with what you're doing. I remember my father, he would go for a case and he'd come back. And then I'd ask him, how was the matter? when he came into the office, and he would always, always, without exception, smile, and he would say, it was excellent, because he knew he had done his best. Now, if the law is against you or the facts are against you, you may lose that particular case. But he would say, I have done my best. And that was very important. That was what one has to keep doing. You will face obstacles, you will get over some, you will not get over others, but you have to keep trying, or you change direction. You just don't do that thing. If you can't get into the cricket team, maybe you'll get into the football team. So change your course if you need to. But you have to keep thinking, you have to adapt, and you have to strengthen yourself.
Right. So there is one more question. Can you tell us how can we shut all the criticism and stigma in our daily life? I think a part of it you've already answered, but still they'd like to know.
But why should you want to shut criticism against you? I think you should welcome it. If someone criticizes you, that means, firstly, they think that you are worth talking about. If you were insignificant in their lives, then they won't even criticize you. They won't talk about you. They won't praise you. They won't criticize you. So the fact that someone is criticizing you is a good sign. It shows that you are significant in their lives, at least at that moment in time. And then you have to learn from that. You have to listen to that and think, is there some truth in that criticism? Is there something that I need to do to get over it? In fact, I'm very happy to get feedback at all times, that if someone says this was not well done or that was not well done, well, I think that's a learning experience. If you do something well, that's very good. You get praise, and you know that's something you should do again. If you get criticism, you should welcome it even more and say, this is my chance to learn. Thank you for telling me what I did not know. I had not criticized myself in this way. You've done that for me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The point very well noted. Criticism will always help us shape in a better way. Sir, students also would want to request you to share your few experiences of early college life and what kind of thought process you had which helped up shape your career today.
It's a long time ago, but I'll tell you some of the things that were very important at that time, some of which I did to some extent and not enough. So that's what I'll really talk about. You see, when I joined law college, then I had never before that participated in elocutions and debates and so on. So then I began to do a little bit. I did moot courts. That's what you have to do in law college when you argue a case against each other. So I did some moot courts. But looking back, I think what I should have done much more was a lot more reading and a lot more writing and a lot more speaking. And that's something that all of you need to do. Now, you've had a series of induction lectures. Dr. Hemlata Bagla spoke to you, and so did Dr. Niranjini Hiranandani and Dr. Kumi Vivaina, and she talked about communication. Now, communication, I find, is extremely, extremely important. There were times when I thought of something and I thought, now let me write it out, or let me write it as an article, but I didn't do that. Today, you have many more opportunities of writing because you can do it as part of a blog. You can just do a WhatsApp message and forward it to 100 or 1,000 people at one shot. So, or an email, or put it on Facebook. There's so many more opportunities to express yourself. But I think that's something that needs to be done. I remember when I was in college, there was a very famous judge in England. His name was Lord Denning. And he had come to Bombay and he gave a talk at the Convocation Hall. And he said that you must read every day. Read for half an hour, read for 1 hour, read fiction, non-fiction, your subject, any other subject, read the newspapers, read comics, read anything. But you have to read and you have to keep thinking about what you're reading, and read every day. So that's also been repeated by others. There was a judge of the Bombay High Court whom I heard at one of our programs, and she said you must read a judgment every day. Now, you don't need to read a judgment if you're not in law college or if you're not a lawyer, but please do keep reading, because that's how your thoughts will expand. And I think that you must write. For instance, during the emergency just after the emergency was over in 1977, long time ago. But I had gone to Delhi because Mr. Ram Jethmalani was a good friend of ours, and he would just become a member of parliament. So with him, I went to, for many of the meetings. We went to the house of Mr. Morarji Desai, who then became Prime Minister a few days later. And we went to Mr. Jagjeevan Ram's house, who was then the Defense Minister, and many other people. And then I thought I must write those experiences, but I didn't write them. I should have. And I think that is something that is missing. However, I did write a lot of articles on legal subjects, and those I still treasure. Those were the expressions of my thoughts at that time. In the same way, you have to keep reading. As Lord Denning said, you have to keep writing and you must speak. This is a time for communication. You have to be able to express yourself. So do it in the form of elocutions, debates, articles, whatever you want to do, but please do keep expressing yourself. So I think this is one very important thing. The second is participate in clubs and activities and sports and try and do something new, something that you know, and also something different, because you have to expand your mind. You have to expand your circle. There are times when you will change. Something is not of interest today, it will be of interest tomorrow. So whenever you get a chance, just do anything that kindles your interest.
Thank you, sir. There are a couple of more questions.
Sure.
What are the important habits to be included to perform better during the college life?
Well, all of you are so successful. I'm sure that you know those very well already. You have to work very hard, of course. But as I said, you must have a balance and you must keep relationships well. You must be critical of things just as you must expect people also to be critical of you. Be critical of things, but don't be critical of people. Don't run people down. If you think that a person's action was wrong, then you can say, I feel that your action was wrong for this reason. And this is what I would like you to do. You can express it in any way that you like, but don't hurt people. You just should be able to get along well with people and to learn from their different experiences and give of your own, so that the combination of all of these, the amalgam, is greater than the sum of the parts. And you have to be able to achieve what you want to achieve, or at least try very hard to do so. So set goals and move towards those, whether those are in sports or in studies or in any co-curricular activities, even setting up of a club or participating in the competitions in college. Do that with zest, do that with joy.
Thank you, sir. So setting goal becomes the prime important thing. And after that, hard work and dedication so that we succeed.
Yes.
Sir, also, there is a question. If they keep on trying really hard, but in spite of that, they couldn't make it to success, how do they take this further? How do they stay motivated?
See, that will happen. Everyone cannot be a Nobel Prize winner. Everyone cannot be an Olympic champion. Everyone cannot even be successful in any particular field that one is trying to do. It depends on your talents. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the competition. It depends on many other factors around you. But what you have to do is do the best that you can do, and don't be too critical of yourself. Don't be judgmental of yourself. You have to know that you're trying the best, and sometimes you have to change tack. If you are not successful in one particular thing, maybe it's time to move to another. There are many people who have changed professions. For instance, you've seen at Nariman Point at Cuff Parade, there are the Maker buildings. Dr. Maker was a doctor, and then he decided to become a builder. And of course, he became one of the most successful builders at that time. Our own provost, Dr. Niranjan Hiranandani, was a CA. And then he went into business and he went into real estate. Not because he was not successful at being a CA or that he was not successful at business, but he just changed tack. Or there is a Hotel Leela near the Bombay airport and in other parts of India. Captain Nair was in the Indian Army. Then he set up a textile mill. And then at the age of 64, he ventured into the hotel business, which made him even more famous than he had already been. So there are times when you have to change track and you have to change tack, which can be for different reasons. For the reason that you've already been successful at something and you want to be successful at something else, or that it just draws you to it. There's a magnet in it that draws you, or because you have not succeeded in something and then you think that your talents lie elsewhere. So you have to do whatever you can, but at all times, do not be overcritical of yourself, and do apply your mind, do think about what you're doing and try and plan to reach your goal with small steps so that you know how you go. If, for instance, you want to be a politician, don't just say, I'm going to be a politician. Then you have to perhaps learn the language of the area. You have to see the problems of the area that you're going to be in, work towards those, join a group, then move on. But it may still be that you don't become Prime Minister of India. Most people are not going to be. But that doesn't mean that you're not successful in what you're doing. You may not be successful in reaching a particular goal, but you have to be successful in what you are doing at that time by giving it your best with your passion and your dedication.
Thank you, sir. That was really motivational. There are a few more questions. How can we manage our time in such a way that we can succeed in life? As people say, time is money.
Well, you do have to manage your time. So set your priorities right. Are your priorities at this point in time studies, which they will be, or any other thing as well, as sport or dance or drama? Then you have to allocate appropriate amounts of time to those and then not be diverted too much. Yes, of course, you need relaxation. You must have that. You must watch movies, you must read, you must go out, you must meet your friends, but then just prioritize and don't distribute your time amongst too many things which are unnecessary. Focus on the ones which are the most important, the 2 or 3 that are most important to you. Then prioritizing and setting, allocating your time well should not be difficult. Everyone has had to go through this. We go through different times when we have to prioritize, but you can do it if you know what it is that you truly want.
Sir, thank you, sir. Connecting with a previous question with respect to what if we do our best and still we are not getting succeeded in our goals. So did this anytime they would want to understand your personal experience? Did you encounter this anytime that you have done your best, but you couldn't get through it? And in that case, if such thing happens with the students, how do they go ahead with this?
Well, these things will always happen. It's not that everyone will come first or that I always came first or whatever. That's not, so that I would say that's not the defining thing. As I said, a goal is something outside of you. Yes, you should try and reach that, but more than anything, you should treat that as a guide to you. You know, like they say, look at the stars, reach for the stars. When they say reach for the stars, you're not actually reaching the stars, you're not touching the star, but let that be a goal to guide you. So the goals also are there in front of you. You have to move towards them. You may not actually reach them, but as long as you do your best, as long as you enjoy that, as Omar Khayyam said, as long as you enjoy that moment, then that is a life well lived. It's not just a person who has succeeded and got a prize or got a gold medal who is the one who is happy. It is the one who's done his best and who's been able to do it in conjunction with those around him, who is going to be the happier person. And I think that is a bigger goal than being successful in a material way.
Truly agree with you, sir, on this note. There is one more question. If the student has not, the student says, by any chance they have not connected or they are not in any of the social media platforms, which most of the students are, they do not prefer using it, but it's a commitment to the student by themselves that they are not going to do this until unless they get. But does that mean that they are lacking any form of communication? And interaction in person would also be resulting in a form of communication. As in, are they missing out by not being connected on social media, but being connected in person?
No, I don't think so. But really, it depends on each person. Some people feel the need to do it one way, some feel the need to do it another way. And each of those is completely acceptable. I'm not much on social media, but that doesn't mean that I feel a lack of it in my life. I meet enough people. And even if I were not to meet so many people, I do it at my work, of course. But even if I were not to meet so many people, there are many other things to do. I can communicate if I want to. I can read, I can watch a movie, I can just think, I can just listen to music. There are many other things to do. Communicating is one way to reach out to people. If you don't feel the need to reach out to people, or if you don't feel the need to reach out in a particular way, that's absolutely acceptable. Don't run yourself down for that. Don't think that you're wrong. You may be different, but that doesn't mean that you're wrong.
That's so beautifully explained, sir. That choice of selecting social media is entirely a self-made choice and doesn't really shouldn't deter from the self-introspection of being wronged or anything of kind. Okay, there is one more question. How to overcome our fears? How to take care of our mental health?
There's a poem by William Ernest Henley called Invictus. And William Ernest Henley, it seems, had some physical handicaps, so life must have been difficult for him. But the poem goes like this, the first few lines. It matters not how straight the gate. Straight in this context is spelled S-T-R-A-I-T and means narrow. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So you have to decide what it is that you want to do, and you have to work towards it. You are the captain of your soul. You have to live your own life, create your own destiny, and move towards it.
Very well put up, sir. And that's really quite motivating for us. Are there any more questions, Monish, or we go ahead?
No, ma'am, there are no more questions.
Sir, thank you so much for such a wonderful self-explanation, self-reflection of your thoughts you've done in such a nice way. It's always a awe to hear you and to take guidance from you. So, as rightly said, leadership is making others better. That an impact lasts in your absence is what you do, sir. And that has been always whenever we've heard you. On behalf of Hsnc University, I, Dr. Ashu Vajpayee from Department of Life Sciences, KT College, wish to express my vote of thanks for today's session. So with deepest sense of gratitude, I thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and giving us time and giving us food for thought. It's always been an exemplary talk which you have given, always motivated, always kept us enthusiastic. And I'm sure even in today's session, the students have been engaged very effectively. Your explanation, sir, on traditional classrooms using the chalk and duster, using the paper, pen, and ensuring that you use colors seems quite engaging, and it does show its significance, what lasting impact it is going to have. You've always kept your audience in awe with your proverbs, with the use of the different excerpts used by different personalities, as you mentioned about Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, Mr. Kailash Satyarthi. This comes as a very smooth transition in your talk, sir. So this always leaves us in awe and a lot of takeaway from your session. As a balanced person and a perfectionist you are, very well that has been reflected in your thoughts and left all of us to the motivated path wherein we need to work hard, We need to be dedicated, and this for the sure will lead us to success. So for the sure, fear, even if we encounter, should not be considered as fear, or criticism should not be considered as a drawback, but a motivation on flip side to move ahead. Thank you very much, sir, for orienting the students of Hsnc University. And I'm sure each and every student attending this session will reach to the greater heights. Thank you very much, sir. My heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Hemlata Bagla, Vice Chancellor, Hsnc University, Principal KC College, and Director of Niranjan Hiranandani School of Real Estate. Sincere thanks to Registrar and Dean of Arts and Humanities, Hsnc University, Dr. Bhagwan Balani, Dean of Commerce and Management, Dr. Pooja Ramchandani, Vice Principals and faculty members across the College of Hsnc Board and University for joining today's session. A special thanks to our technical expert, Monish, for his technical support. And last but not the least, a big thank you to all the audience on Zoom, on YouTube for attending today's session and making this a success.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.